Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to TKC. Welcome to everyone who is joining us online as well. It's great to see all of you here today as we welcome in Shabbat, celebrate Shabbat. Somebody asked if there was going to be musical accompaniment tonight, and the answer is yes. I brought my horn, which I'm going to toot. And because one person got that joke. We are exactly 2 weeks away from Rosh Hashanah. It's coming up. It's for 3 weeks, something like that. We're a few weeks away from Rosh Hashanah. It's coming up. It's right around the corner, which means we're in the Hebrew month of Elul. Elul is that entire period, that 1 month period leading up to Rosh Hashanah. And during that time, Jewish tradition, we take it as an opportunity to prepare for the new year. It's 5,783, soon to be 5,784. One tradition to prepare for Rosh Hashanah is to hear the sound of the shofar. So we're going to begin our service, not even begin our service, we're going to do it right before our service begins to hear the sound of the shofar, reminding us that it is Elul, that it's almost the new year for us. So tradition has it that somebody else calls out the note. There's only one note for today. It's Tekiah. So how about this? I say the note. Everyone can repeat after me, and then that will be the call for the note. Tekiah. Tekiah. There we are. So Elul, our rabbis taught, isn't just the name of the month, it's also an acronym. And the acronym stands for Ani Lidodi Vidodi Li, which is a line from Shir HaShirim, from Song of Songs in the Hebrew Bible. I am my beloved, and my beloved is mine. Ani Lidodi Vidodi Li, the month of Elul. And it's particularly appropriate that we're in the month of Elul because right now we have two beloveds who are celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. So Steve and Sherry, if I can invite you to come on up to the bima, please. No? Oh, how about that? You still have that. That's amazing. Steve is showing me he still has his wedding vows from 50 years ago in his coat pocket. And guess what the wedding vow was that Sherry said? Ani Lidodi Vidodi Li.
That was the women's vow, but now they've changed it so the women do pretty much the same as the men with a different gender.
Yeah. It's actually, I always present it, it's up to the couple. Typically, couples choose to do the same thing, meaning the other vow, the most traditional is it's the Hebrew for, with this ring I consecrate you to be my spouse according to the tradition of Moses in Israel. Some people do that. A lot of couples are choosing both to do Ani Lidodi Vidodi Li. In fact, the very next wedding I'm officiating at, that's what both members of the couple are choosing to say. So that's what. Join me in the middle. So 50 years. That's amazing. What an accomplishment for the two of you. And when you both asked if we could recognize your milestone wedding anniversary, absolutely, because what a simcha, what a special time for both of you, and not just for both of you, but really we've got members of your family here and members of your extended TKC family here as well, and you both mean so much to everybody here. So we're so delighted to be celebrating with both of you. If two partners are worthy, the divine presence abides with them. So says our classical rabbinic literature. O God, eternal source of blessing, we turn to you in gratitude for the strength and devotion that have persevered and sustained Steve and Sherry Naaman and permitted them to reach this hour. In the midst of family and loved ones, as well as your family here at TKC, they look back upon the years that have passed since they first pledged themselves to one another 50 years ago. Many and varied have their experiences since that day. Many have been the mingled occasions of victory and defeat, of fulfillment and disappointment. They recall the joys that graced their days with light and beauty. They also remember the dark storms that shook them. In joys and trials alike, O God, you have been with them. So may you continue to be with them, guiding and sustaining them in the years to come. Sherry and Steve, may God bless you with health and contentment in the circle of your family and all your loved ones, near and far. And together we all say, Amen. Steve and Sherry as well are going to say a few words during the oneg, but right now your daughter Erin is going to share a few words with all of us. So don't go anywhere. She's going to come up here.
Half a century is a long time to be married. I feel like your marriage may be written about in the Torah, or maybe it's the Talmud. It's the story about our patriarch Steve, who's married to our matriarch Sherry. Steve seems to be having trouble hearing his wife, and she makes him go to an ENT. The ENT checks him out, and he says, "You have remarkably good hearing for a man of your age." Yet he gets diagnosed with marital deafness. Other specialists have identified similar conditions: marital blindness, marital loss of smell, marital tastelessness. Apparently, this is the key to longevity in marriage. For those of us who are lucky enough to know my parents, I think we can all attest that they are two of the most hardworking, devoted, and sincere people we know. They are good friends, good neighbors, good citizens, good coworkers, good congregants, good parents, good grandparents, good people, and usually they're good together. I feel like I hit the jackpot by getting to be their daughter. Mom, I know that there were a few teenage years there when that wasn't apparent to you, but truly I feel this way. I mean, yes, I'm a full-grown woman with a family of my own, and they both still remind me to renew my car tag when it's my birthday and to drip the faucets when the weather turns cold, but I know it's all out of love. But really, I am so lucky to have parents who have shown me how to live with integrity and compassion. They have gratitude for the joys and pleasures in their life, and they show true grit in how they work through challenging times, whether that's yet another thing to fix around the house or a serious medical concern. My parents have supported me and my sister in the highs and lows of our lives, always letting us know they are there for us, while also letting us grow, learn from our mistakes, and become our own people. How lucky I am to have learned from the best and have them be role models to my children too. Half a century is quite an accomplishment. I'm proud of you, I'm proud to be part of you, and I'm proud that our family is so full of love thanks to your dedication to each other. So I'm wishing you 50 hugs, 50 kisses, 50 anniversary wishes, and cheers to 50 more.
Yasher koach, thank you. If the three of you will remain here, and if I can invite the rest of your family to please come on up to the bima at this time.
No, no, you don't. He's going to light that, and then you're going to light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'zivanu b'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Amen. Thank you. If you would stay on the bima, if everyone else will please rise. We can all stand next to each other. Stephen Cherry, on the occasion of your 50th wedding anniversary, surrounded by your family, joined with members of your kihila, of your community, your congregation, it's my privilege to offer you these words of blessing, first said by Aaron, the high priest of Israel, passed down from one generation to the next, and now for the two of you. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God's light shine upon you. May God be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yisem lecha shalom. May God's face be lifted up to you. May God grant you both the blessing of peace. Ken yehi ratzon, so may be God's will. Together we all say, Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higyanu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who has sustained us, who has given us life, and has brought Steve and Sherry, your family, all of us, to this day, to this season, to this year. Amen. Please be seated. We'll continue on page 10 in our prayer books. Please join with me at the top of the page. Hine ma tovu manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is for us to be here together, celebrating, welcoming in Shabbat. We're going to continue now with a period of silence so that we can reflect on the week that's just gone by, so that we can reflect on the week to come as well. Invite everyone now to take a moment of silence to help us to enter into Shabbat. And our custom here at TKC is we're a kahila, we're a community. So we take the opportunity to check in with one another. If anyone has anything special they'd like to share, I would love to hear what's going on. Josh. Mazel tov on both accounts. College and engagement. That's great. Phil. All right. Visiting Charleston to see your daughter and her house. Right there. And her dog, most importantly. In the mind of the dog, right? What's the dog's name? Riley. Okay, thank you. Robin. I'm sorry, I'm trying to hear. Yeah, 45th wedding anniversary on the 1st. Mazel tov to you. We do blessings here, if you're interested. Melissa's starting a new job on Monday. Tell us about your new job. Where are you going to work? Yay! Yes, Melissa is joining the staff team starting on Monday. We're all excited. I'm excited. Sorry? Yes. Monday. Yes. All right. Anyone online like to share anything with us? Feel free to just unmute yourself first, please. Okay. Let's continue on with our service. Page 25. This is a wonderful story that's made its way into our prayer book from the book of Genesis. It's a story about a journey, a new beginning, and all the excitement and wonder that happens with it, particularly for Jacob, who's the one setting out on that journey, realizing that God is with him in every place that he goes, that everything is significant, everything is special. Page 25. And Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. Coming upon a certain place, he passed the night there, for the sun was setting. Taking one of the stones of the place, he made it his headrest as he lay down in that place. He dreamed, and lo, a ladder was set on the ground, with its top reaching to heaven. And lo, angels of God going up and coming down on it. And lo, Adonai stood up above it and said, I, Adonai, am the God of your father Abraham and God of Isaac. The land on which you are lying I will give to you and to your descendants. And your descendants shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread out to the west and the east and the north and the south. Through you and your descendants all the families of the earth shall find blessing. And here I am with you. I will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to the soil. I will not let go of you as long as I have yet to do what I have promised you. Waking from his sleep, Jacob said, Truly, Adonai is in this place, and I did not know it. He was awestruck and said, How awe-inspiring is this place? This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. Page 26. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Belma divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute, B'chayechon uvyomechon ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בגלה, בגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא, ואמרו amen. Please rise, page 28. Baruch et Adonai Hamavorach. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Baruch Adonai Hamavorach le'olam va'ed. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due, now and forever. Please be seated. We continue on the next page, page 29, in the middle of the page. I invite you to join with me. O God, you are as near as the very air we breathe, yet farther than the farthermost star. We yearn to reach you. We seek the light and warmth of your presence. Though we say you are near, we are lonely and alone. Oh, let our desire be so strong that it will tear the veil that keeps you from our sight. Let your light release our darkness and reveal the glory and joy of your presence. Page 30. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Uma'avir yom, umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai Tsevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Haravim. Page 32, together. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people, Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Please rise, page 34. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, Bechol levavcha, uvechol nafshecha, uvechol meodecha, v'hayu hadivarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavecha, hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta b'ham, b'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha v'derech, uvshochbecha uvekumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot ben einecha, Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tiskeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiyot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Please be seated. We continue on page 39 in the middle of the page. We read responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha no edar ba'kodesh, no ratehilot, o sefele, no ratehilot, o sefele. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha bokeh yam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze Eli anu ve'amru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Your children witnessed your sovereignty, the sea splitting before Moses and Miriam. This is our God, they cried. Adonai will reign forever and ever. V'ne'emar kifadaonai et Yaakov, u'golo miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Page 43, the top of the page. We read together. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Page 44. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, Lasot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברי עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברי עולם. Please rise, page 46. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah rav lehoshia, Morid atah, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha baal gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'emanata l'chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh ukdoshim b'chol yom yahalu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. We continue on page 57 in the middle of the page. We read together. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'odcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. Page 59. In the middle. When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars that you set in place, what are we humans that you are mindful of us? We mortals that you take note of us. You made us little less than divine, adorned us with glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at our feet. How majestic is your name throughout the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, u'lecha na'eh lehodot. Page 61. Together. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, mevarech et amo Yisrael, bashalom. We continue now with silent prayer. Yehiyu l'ratzon, imrei fi, vehegyon libi, lefanecha, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri. Vegoali, Vegoali. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. We continue now on page 253 with prayers for healing. If anyone is thinking of someone now who is not well, someone who is sick or hurt, I invite you to share their name with us so that together we might keep them in our prayers. Tom. Thank you. I'm sorry, if you're joining us on Zoom, if you wouldn't mind just muting yourself, please. Just double check, make sure you're currently muted. Thank you very much. Just one more reminder, please. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, if you're currently on Zoom, please mute yourself. If you're joining us on Zoom, please keep yourself muted at this time. Thank you. Thank you. Phil. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, and now if you're joining us on Zoom, this time now I invite you to unmute yourself and share names. Linda.
Brett Greenhill, Susan Rittenberg, Nancy Nador, Sharon Oliver.
Thank you. Cookie.
Sybil and Stanley Bernath.
Thank you. Coralie.
Doesn't want to unmute. Oh, okay. All right.
We can hear you.
Okay. Sherry, Daniel, Marlene, Eleanor, Carlene, Tom, Jane, Wendy, Harold, Marcia, Linda, and Pete.
Thank you. For those names that have been shared, for those that we hold in our hearts with those names that have been said out loud. We say, Mishaberach Avotenu Vimotenu. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And together we say, Amen. All right, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Speaking of anniversaries, and this one's nowhere near as special, but this weekend is the 27th anniversary of my bar mitzvah. Thank you. No, but I'm going to talk about it. Thanks for asking. Every year, if you come to temple on this particular Shabbat, with this particular Torah portion, I always tell the same story over and over again. So if you've been here previous years on this Shabbat, you've heard the story before. But, Lori's here with us, Mrs. Dreffen, for those of you who are students here. And we're really nice to our B'nai Mitzvah students because we let them pick out which verses they're going to read in the Torah. I grew up in a congregation where that was not the practice. The practice was the rabbi considered who we were as individuals, what was in the Torah portion, and then tried to connect the two. So the verses that my rabbi picked out for me when I was becoming a bar mitzvah were from this week's Torah portion, from Deuteronomy chapter 21, verses 18 through 21. These are the verses I read when I became a bar mitzvah, picked for me by my rabbi. Quote, "If a man has a wayward and rebellious son who does not heed his father or mother and does not obey them, even after they discipline him, his father and mother shall take hold of him and bring him out to the elders of his town at the public place of his community. They shall say to the elders of his town, 'This son of ours is disloyal and defiant. He does not heed us. He is a glutton and drunkard.' Thereupon the men of his town shall stone him to death. Thus you will sweep out evil from your midst. All Israel will hear and be afraid." End quote. That was my bar mitzvah Torah reading. There are more mitzvot in this week's Torah portion than any other Torah portion in the entire Torah. Meaning there's so much good stuff in this week's Torah portion, but like I said, my rabbi considered who we were, what was in the Torah, and then tried to match it up. I remind him of this every time I see him. He says he doesn't remember. Right. Let's leave aside the whole stone him to death business for just a moment. The real issue in that paragraph, yes, the issue is capital punishment, especially when you're talking about a child, but behind it, what did the kid do so wrong? Disloyal and defiant, wayward and rebellious. Well, that's the problem the Torah seems to be identifying for us. What do we do with rebellious children? Now, no parent, no one really likes it when people disagree with them. Nobody really likes it when people rebel against them. Why should we? But what is the particular problem with this kind of rebellious child? It mentions two things about what that child's doing wrong. One, it's actually the same thing, or similar. I should say similar, not the same. Similar. He's a quote from the Torah, a glutton and a drunkard. Meaning, his rebellion would probably be upsetting to the Torah, but beyond that, it's the kind of rebellion that's self-destructive for the child. The child's not acting in his own best interests, rather than the sort of rebellion that could be ultimately constructive. It's talking about the child who isn't rebelling against his parents' own poor choices, but rather rebelling so that he himself can make poor choices. And our Torah actually has lots of stories of the bad kind of rebellions. The most famous, actually it's not this one, it's called the rebellion of Korach. The Israelites are marching their way through the wilderness, and a group of them under the leadership of Korach, by the way, is Moses' cousin. So it's kind of in the family, which makes it hurt even more. But Korach leads a rebellion against Moses. And he says to Moses, who put you in charge? What makes you so special that you get to tell the rest of us what to do? Now, rabbinic commentators looking at this basically say, what is the problem here? Because, maybe Korach is making a fair point. God put Moses in charge. But, aside from that, nobody likes to be told you have to listen to everything that person over there tells you to do. And Moses had a long list of things he was telling people to do, right? Do this, don't do that. I'd be feeling a little rebellious against Moses. Like, who are you to tell me what to do? Who are you to tell me what not to do? So Korach kind of takes that up. The rabbis say the problem with Korach isn't so much that he rebelled against Moses, because the rabbis, they question each other all the time. There's libraries of books, Jewish books, mostly because people have differences of opinion. If we all thought the same thing, believed the same thing, we wouldn't need a whole library of books. We have libraries of books because everyone's like, I have a different take on it. I see things differently than you. So they write a book about it. That's why Jewish libraries are so big. So the rabbis can't just say the rebellion in of itself is bad, but rather certain kinds of rebellions are bad. The problem with Korach's rebellion isn't the rebellion in and of itself, it's the motivation behind it. And the rabbis say the motivation behind Korach and his rebellion was that he wanted power. And rebellion for the sake of power, for the sake of self-service, that's not really a great motivation for rebellion. It would be different if Korach had the Israelites' best interests in heart. If he rebelled against Moses because he thought Moses was actually doing a bad job, because he thought people were suffering underneath Moses' leadership, even if he was wrong about it, if that was his motivation, it would have been fine. We know this because we actually get other stories of rebellions within the Torah, and those rebellions are fine, including rebellions against God. Abraham, the first Jew, rebels in his own way against God. God's about to destroy 2 cities, Sodom and Gomorrah. Tells Abraham, this is what I'm going to do. They're really bad people. And Abraham stages his own mini kind of rebellion. He says to God, are you going to sweep away the innocent along with the guilty? You're talking about entire cities of people here. Surely there must be innocent people within them. And then, here's the nice note that Abraham put in there to God. Shall not the judge of the whole earth deal justly? And that's the God. And Abraham's not taken, what was my bar mitzvah Torah portion? He was not taken to the elders of his town to be stoned to death. It was pretty chutzpahdik. There's other stories of, even a little closer to home, of children rebelling against their parents and being remembered as having done the right thing. And it's also Abraham. According to a rabbinic legend, a rabbinic myth, it's not in the Torah, it's a rabbinic myth, legend. It's a midrash. It says that Abraham's father made idols. We all have our hobbies or professions, whatever. This guy, he made idols. Well, Abraham one day was left home alone, always dangerous to do, and his father went out, and while his father was out, Abraham smashed all the idols. But to be, particularly clever, he put the hammer that he used to smash all of them in the hands of one idol that he did not break. And then when his father came home, he says, who made all this mess? Who destroyed all my work? And Abraham pointed at the one idol they didn't smash, holding the hammer. And Abraham said he did it. And his father said, you know very well that idol can't do this. And then Abraham says, well, why do you worship it then? And, that's a story of a child rebelling against his father. If you took this week's Torah portion, you just said children should never rebel against their father and leave it at face value. Well, we've got a pretty good example within our own tradition of a child rebelling against his parent, and it's remembered really well. We're talking about idolatry here. It's like sin number 1 in Judaism. And it's Abraham. He's a hero. But part of what makes him a hero is his rebellious nature, is the fact that he doesn't just go along with what he's told to do. In fact, if you look at every single hero, both in the Torah, the Hebrew Bible, but really throughout human history, they're all rebelling against something. They're rebelling against ideas, they're rebelling against people, they're rebelling against armies. And if they're remembered well for it, it's because the structure or the person that they're rebelling against is really a big problem. And so we get two things within our Torah. On the one hand, we get this week's Torah portion, which we'll leave aside again the whole capital punishment of children business, which is problematic. But you get both sides within the Torah. One saying, do what your parents tell you to do, don't rebel against it. And on the other hand, we get these examples of real heroes who are rebels. So what are we supposed to take from it? I suppose that it's actually not that clever of an idea that the Torah is trying to make. In fact, it's all pretty simple. It's all pretty whatever. It's not so much rebellion that we're talking about, but rather, what are the values behind it? What are the motivations behind it that they are fighting for? Are they fighting to uphold and continue what is good, or to bring about something that's good against something that's a problem? Perhaps the balance then is this: honor those traditions that are good, rebel against what we see that isn't. Sounds pretty easy. The Torah, like I said, isn't always trying to be clever. It's just trying to be good. So it tends to share messages that to us sound simple, but that the Torah feels like it needs repeating. For example, the Torah says over and over again things like, love your neighbor, love the stranger, take care of the orphan, take care of the widow, the stranger, meaning the people who are disadvantaged in society. Be a good person, realizing that there's more than one way to be a good person. There's more than one way to do just that. If that means that sometimes we have to rebel, we rebel. If that means we uphold traditions and we follow instructions or teachings from our parents, from history, from tradition, if they're worthy of being upheld, if they're worthy of being continued, then do that. The idea is not rebel or don't rebel. The idea is not preserve our traditions or don't preserve our traditions. It's look at it each on an individual basis. Is our parent instructing us to do something that's actually good for us, that's good for the world around us? I've got a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. They're masters of rebellion. I sometimes want to say, like, this is for your own good. It's not healthy just to eat bread all the time. Come on. But to be on the right side of it all. And I realize that's not so easy to tell. And that's why the rabbi said regarding Korach, the issue is not so much which side of the argument he fell on, but rather the motivations behind it. Whether we rebel or whether we fight to uphold what came before us. Maybe we're right, maybe we're wrong, but what we can perhaps have a better shot of knowing is what are the motivations. If our motivations are to do what's right, to do what's good, then that's all the Torah really asks of us. To be a good person. To love our neighbors, or to love strangers within our community, within our society, to care, and to do good. In that way, may we continue to be rebellious when rebellion is called for, and let us also honor our parents, our ancestors, our traditions, when they are worthy of honor. Shabbat Shalom. Continue now with announcements. Tom Bryant, a member of our temple board, will share a few words with us.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Tom Bryant, and I am tonight's representative from the Board of Trustees. Brotherhood Poker Night is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. in the social hall. Snacks and beverages are included. The winner gets 40% of receipts. The second place wins 10%. Miss Mary's ice cream cranking is this Sunday, August the 27th, from 2 to 4 p.m. at the First Baptist Church in Roswell. Come out and support the Drake House and enjoy ice cream from our TKC tent. Sisterhood's kickoff event is this Sunday also, August the 27th at 7 p.m. Join the sisters for a mitzvah project, Mo's and Margaritas. Please bring a gently used tote bag or handbag or tote to be filled with personal hygiene products for women in need. See the weekly email or the website for information on all of these projects. After the service, please return your prayer books to me or Lori and join us in the social hall for a no-neg. Join Steve and Sherry Naiman for a glass of bubbly in honor of their 50th anniversary. And I want to personally congratulate you both in Mazel Tov. And I think it's very unique. It's very touching to me to be here tonight because I think I have taught all 4 of your grandchildren at some point. So, Mazel Tov. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Please rise. We continue on page 282. The bottom of the page. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'tet gedula liotzer b'reishit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, ve'lo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, ve'gohor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Page 285. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Page 287. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Page 293. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. This week, we remember Norman Rome, Virginia Hallmark, Gary Glassman, Louis Galvin, Heinz Bauer, Libby Katz, Eugene Liberto, and Jack Zimler. If anyone else would like to share a name with us, someone who died either recently or at this time in years past, I invite you to raise your hand, and I'll come around the room. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mourner's Kaddish, page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'gala u'vizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevorach le'olam almei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei d'kedusha b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran belma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemayim v'chayim aleinu vel kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu vel kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. Please be seated. Continue on page 5 in our prayer books. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri agafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitchanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim ki vanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ava uvratzon Inchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. And for our closing song, we'll return to page 294, the last paragraph in Hebrew, the last line in Hebrew, Osei Shalom Bimromav. Osei Shalom Bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.